everyone, welcome to the Pixelated Podcast where we dedicate our time to talking about nostalgia. I am your host, Dagaming Saurus, and I'm here with Retro Kaiju.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Kiki.
Hello.
Seriously Funny.
It's a me!
And here comes a new challenger. We have Rikaku the Psychro.
He's finally here, and about time too, and this time, I'm hungry for soup. Hey, howdy, hey, folks. Fun fact, I was actually supposed to be here the last episode, but life kind of got in the way, so now I'm here.
Absolutely. So, now that we're here right now, we are going to talk about our topic today, which is Donkey Kong. A particular favourite of us here, especially with our good pal Retro over here. He loves it.
Yay. Yes, I do.
I am literally staring at my King K. Rool amiibo right now as we're talking.
I'm looking at my 90s Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Funky Kong plushes from the TV show.
My brother's currently got a King K. Rool amiibo in his room.
Sweet.
And
I just
yeah.
got the cap, so I'm just gonna keep it out for the time being.
Okay. So, let's go for our introduction to the franchise as a whole. I'm going to talk about the basic premise of the Donkey Kong franchise, and if you don't know what it is, you've been living under a rock. So, obviously, yeah. So Donkey Kong features the titular gorilla as he goes on different adventures depending on the video game you're talking about, whether it's on the arcade, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64, or the Wii U. There's always a Donkey Kong game somewhere on these consoles, except the Nintendo Switch. Because why? I don't know. Nintendo hates us.
No, the Tropical Freeze port doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. That's why I was saying it does not count. But I think we'll start off with talking about the first Donkey Kong in the arcades, I think it was first released in 1981, I believe, and it's the introduction to the character, as well as Mario, but before he was called Mario, he was called Jumpman on that release.
That is correct. And
Yep.
if I were to be so bold, I believe me and Funny, and maybe Psychro, might have the most experience, life experience with this game. As it's even now, I want to say that it's almost in every arcade I've ever been into, including the ever so fabulous Fun Spot Arcade in Laconia. No, I'm not going to stop talking about them. Fun Spot, please sponsor me.
Yeah, hashtag not sponsored. Okay, go ahead, Rick.
I was about to say, as far as the original Donkey Kong, from my knowledge, I don't remember playing it when I was a kid, but apparently my brother claims that I played it while we were at the arcade at Walt Disneyland, and apparently I beat the game flawlessly, even though I have no recollection, and the next time I played it was when it was on Donkey Kong 64, and I sucked at it, so I don't know, man.
Funny,
Yeah.
what about you, man?
Yeah, what about you?
Well, my introduction to the original arcade Donkey Kong was actually not on the arcade itself. It was actually on the Donkey Kong Classics NES cartridge. For those of you who don't know, it was actually a compilation cartridge of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. And funny enough, that wasn't even my first introduction to Mario. My first introduction to Mario was on Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, but that's a different story. And of course, I would get to experience the original arcade game at a amusement park out here that opens up every year, and they luckily would have at least 2 Donkey Kong arcade machines in the 2 arcades they had over there, and it's always a blast to play, and it's always a treat to be able to witness what was essentially the game that pioneered the platforming genre.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
As well as basically being the first game that I can think of that had like an actual plot to it.
Yeah, because usually, if you think of other games released around the time, like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, and Centipede, they were always just like an infinite loop. They never had like a dedicated story. It was more like, oh, collect all the pellets and get the most amount of points. But no, Donkey Kong had a beginning and an end.
Right, it had the fundamentals of having a beginning, a middle, and an end. No other game really had that back then. A lot of people don't seem to remember that, unfortunately.
Yeah, not quite.
They seem to forget it was a pioneer at the time. It was an absolute blast having something like that.
Yeah,
in the arcade.
Oh, sorry.
Rick?
I was gonna say, to my knowledge, the only other game in the '80s around that time that had a beginning, to middle, to end would probably be Dragon's Lair, but that was 1983, so that was 2 years later. And 2, that's a horse of a completely different color, but it's still a fun game to play.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a completely different ball game, I'm afraid.
Exactly, yeah. So I'd say that would probably be the closest, but yeah, DK pretty much set the foundation.
Yes, and the gameplay was quite simple as well. All you did was run up, in the first level anyway, you ran up to the top while dodging barrels and fire that Donkey Kong would throw down at you. And yeah, if you took one hit, just one hit, and you were dead. And this
Not everyone hit you. Not everyone hit you. If you fell down too far, you would die.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, the only time Mario had... I think the first time Mario ever had fall damage.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was 2 entire feet.
Yeah, the only time...
Which he landed on and snapped.
And also, he would fall straight down. You couldn't control where he fell. He would fall straight down if he fell.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
As for my experiences with the game, actually it was one of the first arcades that I ever looked at and actually got to play. It was during the time where I believe it was at a little arcade back in Florida, Live Oak, Florida, to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
It was essentially like this. How do I explain it? Remember when Pizza Hut was doing like little arcades inside of their place?
Yeah.
Of course.
Think about that, but like actually bigger. It was a pizza joint that was connected to an arcade, and you could go and get pizza from there while waiting for your turn at the Mortal Kombat station.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be waiting all day for that.
Yeah, exactly. So, my personal experience was at that pizza joint. You know what? I think if I remember right, I think it was actually called Jimmy's Pizza. If it was, then awesome. Anyway, so at Jimmy's Pizza, it was, my mother was celebrating her birthday actually, and she wanted to go to the arcades. This is where I got my love for the arcades, was through my mother. Rest in peace. But she was showing me to these games, and she was looking at the Mortal Kombat one. She said no, but she said that one of the most magical games, and by magical I mean one of the most just addictive games that she's ever played, was Donkey Kong. And wouldn't you know, there was a Donkey Kong cabinet in the corner, practically really dusty actually, if I remember right, all alone by itself, while everybody else was playing Mortal Kombat. I got to play it through my mother, and she showed me the tips and tricks on how to actually beat the game and keep going for a high score. And ever since then, I've always had this knack for Donkey Kong. We ended up getting the cartridge on the NES as soon as it was available to us. We ended up getting it twice over with the same compilation cartridge that Funny was talking about, funny enough.
Okay.
Yeah, she absolutely loved Donkey Kong, and it was something that me and her shared a lot. Even so much so that we would go to watch the Donkey Kong Country TV show when it first aired. It's still a memory that I hold very much dear to me, and this is why I love Donkey Kong Country, because it was one of the biggest reasons why I got into gaming in the first place. Donkey Kong was the start of it. The original Donkey Kong was the start of it, but later on, me and my mother sharing this love for a giant ape stealing women from a carpenter, no less, is what got me into games in the first place, and I'm very happy that I hold that.
Uh-huh.
And to think, the whole game was originally intended to star Popeye.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then ironically, I think Popeye would actually rip off Donkey Kong later on as well.
Yeah, because so originally it was intended to be Popeye and Bluto basically going at it to try to save Olive Oil. Then they eventually went on to Donkey Kong, and then eventually Nintendo would go forward and do an actual arcade game based on Popeye.
Yeah,
That's true.
that is true. And wouldn't you know, both games are actually really solid.
Yes, they are.
Doesn't matter which one you play. I mean, heck, I even like the Popeye game just as much as Donkey Kong, because I mean, if it wasn't for Popeye, we wouldn't really have any of the characters from Donkey Kong, Jumpman included, who would go off to make his own giant thing, as we all know.
Yeah, last I checked, actually, one of the local arcades here where I live actually has both Donkey Kong and Popeye. So, quick shout out to Bishop Cidercade here in downtown Austin, Texas. If you're ever in the area, definitely check them out.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to go take a visit once I get there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna take a road trip one day.
Oh yeah.
I also need to go back to Diversions down in San Antonio.
I think the last thing I'll say about the original Donkey Kong is going back to what Retro said about the original cartridge. I don't know if this is the same thing in the compilation cartridge, but in the original cartridge for the Donkey Kong port to NES, it's actually missing a level from the arcade.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
missing
it is.
what everybody
The
calls
the Pie Factory.
Mhm.
Yes.
Why was there a pie factory in the middle there?
Because pie.
I think it's supposed to represent cement, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
I always felt like it was supposed to be cement, like they were just trying to. I don't know. Just,
I mean, Mario's cement factory had to come from somewhere. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe.
Real, like, I mean, where else could it be? I mean, it's either that, or I guess the workers just really got hungry and needed to have it there and keep constantly working. But that sounds like an OSHA report waiting to happen.
But yeah, from what I've heard, the reason that they took out that level from the NES ports was essentially because of the technical limitations at the time. Now, it's funny enough, I think in a later port that they actually put out, I think, was it on the Wii? I think it was.
Yeah.
But it was like,
Maybe,
yeah, it was on the Wii. They actually put it back in there, so that was an interesting little way of doing ROM hacking, I guess, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it feels like one of those things where it's, at the time, they probably didn't know how to really get it implemented in there, but later on, they just kind of figured it out and just said, you know what, throw a bone.
Yeah. Also, one additional thing that's worth mentioning about this, this version of, the original arcade version of the game was also my introduction to how to do arcade emulation through MAME.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Because after playing at that amusement park, I was like, I'd really like to play this at home somehow. So I would look online to how to figure out how to do it. I was like, oh, dang, you could actually do that. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Oh, sorry, go on, Rick.
No, go ahead, buddy. You're good.
I was going to say, speaking of which, I believe that, speaking of MAME, you, Rick, had a piece of the arcade itself on your MAME machine, if I remember the picture right.
Yeah, I do. I won't go too far off subject. Save this for the inevitable arcade episode that we do for this. But I'll just say that, long story short, I bought an arcade 1-up cabinet that you can buy at like Best Buy or Walmart. It was a Street Fighter 2 one, and I basically reprogrammed it to basically put in a PC and it runs emulators, of which I have all 3 of the Donkey Kong games. In fact, it's this main machine is how I was actually able to finally sit down and play Donkey Kong 3. Junior might be, just super quick, my exposure to that is through the Game & Watch Gallery games on Game Boy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. I love
Yeah,
those.
I remember
still
those.
have those.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Okay, I guess while we're on, I think we'll quickly go over Donkey Kong Jr. real quick, since Rick touched up on that. It serves as the sequel to the original Donkey Kong, but it's basically Donkey Kong gets captured by Mario, and he's forced to be a circus animal, I believe, in the story of that, I think.
Actually,
not exactly.
He was originally
not
a circus animal, wasn't
entirely, Though what you're probably thinking of is the game Circus. I believe that's just what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, where Donkey Kong is forced to juggle pineapples and other types of
Oh, maybe that's what
what
I'm confusing it with. Yeah.
And this is why Donkey Kong steals women, because Mario shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. I mean, what?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started again, big man.
No,
Shots have been fired.
but but yeah, in Donkey Kong Jr. you play as, well, Donkey Kong Jr. and yeah, you gotta save Donkey Kong as Mario sets out traps to try and kill the poor guy, which is animal cruelty on so many levels. But hey, and there is a
Pat has a point.
yeah, maybe he does. But anyway, yeah, there's a popular theory going. I don't know if it's a popular theory, but it's certainly a theory that the Donkey Kong Jr. in that game would grow up to be the Donkey Kong in the Donkey Kong Country series, and the Donkey Kong in that game would become Wrinkly Kong, if Retro had anything to say about it.
Cranky, but yes.
Oh, not wrinkly. Fudge!
Yeah, I mean, that's the theory, but evidently, according to Nintendo, it is actually even mentioned in the Snake Codec for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Obviously, we know that the original Donkey Kong was Cranky Kong, and Donkey Kong that we know in Country is actually the grandson, which supposedly makes Junior the father, who just disappears after a while. But then you get the whole thing with Mario Tennis on the N64, and things just go batshit bonkers.
Not
even that. Not to mention in Donkey Kong 64, Cranky Kong outright calls Donkey Kong his son. So
yes,
yeah.
He does. The way I see it is Donkey Kong Jr. definitely grew up to be Donkey Kong that we know today. There's just no denying. I mean, especially with how confusing trying to make DK Jr. into the it's a whole spider's web that I do not want to trudge through.
And you thought the Kingdom Hearts lore was batshit bonkers?
Yes, for example, how is it that Donkey Kong gets to age like that, but Mario hasn't aged a day in his life? Like, how did that happen?
Good luck fitting that into the lore. This is secretly all tied to Kingdom Hearts at this point.
And don't get me started on the whole Star Children bit with the Yoshi's Island game for the DS.
No!
Son.
Yeah,
Don't.
Pauline's the father. Pauline's the father.
You are not the father.
That's an entirely different can of worms we do not have time to go into today, sir.
Nope.
Sounds like another episode we're gonna have to go into.
Now we could be here for
Yoshi.
Yep, not.
I mean,
we could be here for eons.
I could go into the whole thing about how Donkey Kong Jr. is essentially the whole thing is that you're not fighting against the Mario, who's the villain. You're playing as the child of the villain. Hoping to escape from jail, so we're gonna kidnap even more women.
Yeah,
they outright say it in the pamphlet that they used to advertise that game. I'm just saying.
Okay, we're not gonna poke that nest of zingers, okay?
All right.
I guess. Okay, that is a perfect segue to our. That is the perfect segue to our next topic, which would be on Donkey Kong Country, and this is the big hard hitter, the elephant in the room for the original Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And yeah, I mean, I just recently got to play that, and I think it was a couple years ago when Retro first introduced me to Donkey Kong Country, and I have to say, I got so addicted to it, I was playing it for about 2 hours, and I hadn't even realized, because I was having too much fun playing it.
Oh yeah, man, freaking. It is a trip and a half. Donkey Kong Country is my favorite game of all time. And there hasn't been many games out there that ever got close to the magic that is Donkey Kong for me. I went through, you remember this, you did the video for this.
Of course, yes.
I explained how, my mother and I had Donkey Kong as a natural bonding agent between us as our relationship as mother and son blossomed more and more, and we enjoyed Donkey Kong for what it was. But Donkey Kong Country, though, was something that got me through the death of my mother at the age of around 9-ish, 10 maybe, and ever since then I've always held Donkey Kong as this standard where it's not so much just a video game. To me, games like Donkey Kong and most rare titles in general are this experience. It's not just a game. It's an experience that you must play before you die. It's one of those things where Donkey Kong to me was essentially my Mario. He was doing everything Mario did, but for me, he did it better. I mean, yeah, you had Yoshi and stuff, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't anywhere near as like awesome as being able to ride a rhinoceros or a frickin' swordfish, or later on into a spider, or any number of animal buddies that Donkey Kong had. Not to mention the gameplay itself was really fun, and it was actually a lot of fun speedrunning, because apparently that roll attack gets you through so much, and I never really knew about that until much later. I'll give somebody else a chance to talk about this, but I'll just say this. Donkey Kong will always be my preferred video game character. Probably the biggest reason why I am the way I am, alongside stuff like Godzilla, obviously. But,
yeah.
But there you go. Yeah,
I think
good shit.
I think one thing that I love about Donkey Kong Country specifically, there are two things I love. It's the visual style, which serves as the main inspiration for my OC Saurus, who is based off the way the Kremlings look in that game. And it's also the music by David Wise, which is absolutely atmospheric, and it's a pleasure to listen to.
I can touch up on that a little bit. Yeah. Well, first off, going off of the visuals a little bit. Just for those who are not aware, after a while, after Rare did a couple games for the NES, they got a hold of some advanced technology at the time where they're basically playing around with 3D models, and then they showed off a tech demo of a boxer, which may or may not have alluded to TJ Combo for Killer Instinct, but that's a whole different story. And that's how they brought, and I guess Nintendo caught wind of that, saw that, was impressed, but I believe, purchased, was it 49%?
It was exactly I think it was 51%.
It was
good grief,
somewhere right around 50%, basically making Rare a second-party developer for Nintendo, and then got them working on Donkey Kong Country. And then, of course, you're talking about the music, not just with Donkey Kong Country itself, but basically during the Super Nintendo and the N64 era, Rare was basically one of the kings of video game composition. Not just like David Wise with Donkey Kong, Grant Kirkhope with not only Donkey Kong 64, but also like Banjo-Kazooie.
Absolutely.
Robin Beanland with like Killer Instinct and Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's those guys. A lot of my personal favorite music in video games comes from Rare's library, and that also includes Donkey Kong Country. Some personal favorites of mine include a lot of ones that everyone talks about. Gangplank Galleon, which was beautifully remixed for Smash Bros. Ultimate. The Aquatic Ambience, obviously. And one that a lot of people don't really talk about that much, and that's mainly because one of the drawbacks of Donkey Kong Country is actually a track called Bad Boss Boogie, which is basically the music for all the other bosses outside of King K. Rool. Which, I'll admit, the bosses aren't as impressive compared to the Crocodile King himself, but I really do dig the music. I remember when I was playing the game, anytime I'd beat the bosses, I would just pause the music and just listen to the music for minutes and minutes on end. But to kind of go back a little bit to my introduction to Donkey Kong Country, super quick, does anybody here remember a promo video that Nintendo Power released that basically was like a making of Donkey Kong Country?
I knew a buddy who had it, and I always wanted to have it. I know exactly what one you're talking about.
I didn't know they had one.
Back in the 90s, and we actually got it in the mail, and I believe I was living in Oklahoma at the time. We got this video where it's basically this, whoa, totally rad 90s stereotype, dude, actually going to Nintendo HQ and basically going over a little sneak peek of like how they're coming across Donkey Kong and all this other stuff. I'm actually going to find the video because I'm sure it's on YouTube, and if Darren's permission, we'll actually drop a link in the description for the podcast.
Well, absolutely, yeah. We'll do anything like maybe in the description or the comment section, or like just a way that people can see what we're talking about, so they can see it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Also, fun fact. They also did the same thing for Yoshi's Island.
Absolutely,
Yes,
they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yes, yes, he did.
well,
Yep.
sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I must have watched that tape so many times because I was so entranced with just everything they were showing off, and then eventually, I remember that year we went to Guam for Christmas to spend time with family out there. And then by the time we came back, we had 2 Christmases. We had one Christmas with the family in Guam, and then we came back to Oklahoma. And the minute we walked through the door, there's already presents under the tree. And the very first present that greeted us when we came in was Donkey Kong Country. So that holds a lot of sentimental value to me. And yeah, it's definitely one of my absolute favorite games on the system. And I believe, I'm no speedrunner, but I think the fastest I've beaten that game, the whole game itself without like 100%, is about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, and of course the video game would spawn 2 more sequels, so Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, and of course Donkey Kong Country 3, forgot what the subtitle for that is.
Dixie's Double Trouble.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And that introduced...
Starring Kitty Kong.
Oh
yeah,
boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that on another day.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But Donkey Kong wasn't just on the main consoles. He also made it onto the portable systems with the Game Boy, as we've mentioned earlier. Because Donkey Kong had a pretty good port on the Game Boy, where it's basically, I think, it's one of the better games on the Game Boy because of its more puzzle-focused mechanics and stuff, where it's not just, you gotta get points and finish the story. No, it feels more like a puzzle game to me, and I actually like that a lot.
Oh, trust me, we've got plans to talk about that. We've got plans.
Now see,
oh boy.
While I didn't play the original Donkey Kong arcade game first, I did play the Game Boy version, especially on the Super Game Boy, which is an add-on for the Super Nintendo, where you can play Game Boy games on it.
Yep.
That's where I got my introduction to that game, and I love that game to bits. That's like my all-time favorite game on the Game Boy.
Same here, man. Fucking, it's honestly the de facto Game Boy original game. It even surpasses the original Pokemon. Like, for me, it's the first thing that I go to anytime anybody ever talks about the Game Boy is Donkey Kong 94. It's just that great of a game. It takes everything that the original Donkey Kong does and jumps it by 11. You'll even see moves that Mario would start using in his 64 venture, and even further back, even as far as to now with Odyssey. Most of those moves all started with this tiny little plastic trading card of a game, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I need to talk about it more.
And it's further proof that Mario is always in Donkey Kong's shadow.
Well, actually, it's the other way around now.
Isn't it?
The other way around. Oh, we'll get to that.
Because technically Mario is a Donkey Kong character.
Now watch these two argue about it, and I just sit back with a box of popcorn. Intriguing. Keep going.
It just sounds like a flame war in the comments saying, actually, he is a Mario character, not a Donkey Kong character.
I'm gonna hit every single one of the people in the comments that say that Donkey Kong is a Mario character with a baseball bat!
Don't you mean a home run bat?
My M&M's and Maltesers.
But anyway, yeah, no. So Donkey Kong himself has had a lot of good games on the Game Boy. It's not just the Donkey Kong 94 game. He also had a port of his other ventures. But the first Donkey Kong Country, actually was not a direct port. It was its own collected story, actually, where Karanki and King K. Rool are actually talking to each other, and they're saying, hey, I bet Donkey Kong can't beat his own game on 8-bit graphics, and King K. Rool just kind of goes with it. You get to see a lot of very interesting things like Kremlantis. You get to see weird enemies that were, if I remember the story right, there were supposed to be like flying pig enemies in the original Donkey Kong Country. Strange enough, but they felt it wouldn't make sense, but then they put them in here.
Well,
It's a weird story.
Well,
Flying pigs, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Banana hoarding crocodiles, absolutely.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't.
It's all weird stuff.
Come
Well,
on,
I
Go
Rick.
on, Rick.
I don't know about the flying pig bit, but what I do know is one of the enemies in Donkey Kong Country, Croctopus, they tried to port over to Donkey Kong Land, but the animation was too advanced for the Game Boy's limitation, so they ended up creating like sort of a Nautilus character named Nemo, which, by the way, is a reference to Captain Nemo and the Nautilus.
Because his ship's called the Nautilus. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, the enemy was named as Nemo. That's what I meant. So
Yeah, that's what I meant.
they made him to replace the Croctopus enemy.
Yeah. It's Then of course you have the other games.
Like Donkey Kong
Donkey
64.
Kong Land 2 and 3. Honestly, for what they're worth, though, and I'll just make this really quick before I let somebody else take the helm on this, because I could talk about Donkey Kong for hours.
But we're not trying to do that.
No, I'll say this though: if you if you were sent back to the '90s and you wanted to take Donkey Kong on the go, these weren't bad solutions, honestly. You already knew you were gonna have fun by the banana yellow cartridge that all these games came into. And they didn't control bad. Most of the graphics themselves actually lended pretty well, minus Land 1. I feel like some of the foliage in some of the first levels are like really hard to differentiate between you and the background, so it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. But they got better with it in Donkey Kong 2, Donkey Kong Land 2, which is just a port of the best game in the series, Donkey Kong Country 2, and I can't wait to talk about that again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have enough. I might actually want to stream that for the Discord plug in the description below.
Yeah.
I wanna go back to playing those games again. They were the best games.
Yeah,
ever
I would love to be there with you.
you. Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna shut my yap.
Yeah.
Somebody else take it for me before I come back and grab the microphone.
So,
Okay.
You can only hold him back so long.
I got the best way to change the subject here. It involves a certain peripheral, 2 bongos.
No.
We haven't even gotten that far yet, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to irk him.
We have yet to talk about what is objectively the worst collection on the N64. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna kill you!
I mean, he's not wrong.
Why you little?
Alright, so Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64. I've never actually played it. I'm not particularly familiar with it, so I'll let someone else take the helm on that one because I have no idea what entails.
I'll be super quick about it because I don't have that much experience with DK64 myself. When it first came out, when I had the N64, I never got the expansion pass, so I was never able to play it itself. With the one exception was when we were visiting a friend whom we lost contact with immediately. So whatever. For the longest time, I've actually kind of been a little reluctant to go and play it. Once, for one reason, Funny mentioned it itself, like, this game currently holds the Guinness World Record for most collectibles in a game, and for some people, this is probably what caused people to kind of grow weary of platformers and collectathons, even though they are kind of having a little bit of a resurgence recently. And the two other reasons, I felt Donkey Kong Country 64 to be a little too dark, and I'm not talking about, like, grim dark or like Donkey Kong's gone all gritty or a la Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, visually the game was just too dark. Like, things, I just couldn't make heads or tails of anything. As far as
I can Yeah, I can definitely believe that.
And
sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry about that, dude. And secondly, this was another reason why I didn't want to, and it actually kind of pedals back a little bit towards specifically Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. There's one particular enemy that is all over the place in the Fret-Me, and they're probably the most notorious enemy next to the Kremlings themselves, and those are the Zingers. These are basically wasps the size of fucking gorillas with spikes on their backs, and they got these huge bug eyes, and they're just... I'm terrified of hornets. Yeah, I'm not done. I'm not...
Leave him alone.
Down.
I'm sorry.
Down, Kobo. Down. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. Long story short, the way that they were created just was offsetting and terrifying. Like, to this day, the render arts for Donkey Kong Country 1 specifically, especially for the boss Queen Bee, I can't look at because it still actually legitimately frightens me a little bit. I got to ask, I believe it was Stephen Mails from Rare. I actually got to ask him one day on Twitter. It's like, hey, what were you thinking when you were creating these guys? And he said, I got stung by a wasp and they terrify me. So that's how I created these creatures.
Mostly fair.
Yeah, believe it or not, actually the second Donkey Kong Country game is actually where I got my first jump scare in a video game. Was the stage Rambi Rumble, where you're basically playing as Rambi and you jump down a pit, and all of a sudden King Zing is right there.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh.
right.
That
with some of the best music in there too.
Yes, that legit scared the crap out of me. But back to Donkey Kong 64, the other reason why I didn't want to play it is because those enemies came back and they're in 3 dimensions. And one of the abilities of the game is to basically go into first person mode and try to shoot. I did not want that bug charging at me in the first person. So
That's fair.
Oh, it's too good. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
and then a certain somebody puts out a video and puts another fucking jump scare with the motherfuckers.
Write that down! It's just like,
Bastard.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Anyway.
So what you could say is the zinger is what brought us together.
maybe the
And by
friendship.
that I mean the buzzer was right behind you as it chased you into the Discord server.
This is
Oh.
this is really starting to bug me.
Oh man, that really stings.
I know.
Oh, honey, behave.
But
Oh.
okay, let's move on. So that's my short exposure to Donkey Kong 64. I
Yeah.
tried playing it again on a live stream, and I tried. I just couldn't really get into it.
See, I'm the opposite of you. I can get into Donkey Kong 64 if I'm not trying to 100% complete it, because Funny and I were actually having a discussion at one point, and we were playing Banjo-Kazooie, I believe specifically Tooie.
Banjo-Tooie.
We were playing Banjo-Tooie, and I'm recording for this game. Yes, we're going to do a review on it one day.
Oh yeah, definitely, of course.
These games are going to happen. So I eventually ended up saying that Banjo-Tooie wasn't as good to me as something akin to Donkey Kong 64 because of all the backtracking. Because with Donkey Kong 64, it's very rare, see what I did there, to have to backtrack a whole heck of a lot if you know what you're doing. And Funny found that as a challenge, so he told me if I'm going to play DK64, I was going to 100% complete it. And
Yep.
I wasn't going to... And that means everything, including the bananas, all of the bananas, all 100 bananas for each Kong, just the little ones.
For each
You don't
Kong?
you actually don't have to get all 7... You don't have to get all 100 bananas for a Kong to get the 100%, but he wanted me to do everything.
Yes, everything. That's what you get for calling Banjo-Tooie the worst collection on the N64, buddy. That's what you get.
I'm just saying,
what?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, go on.
I'm just saying, only one of them holds the Guinness World Record. And it ain't the Bear and Bird.
Yes, and the Bear and Bird didn't have Beaver Bother.
Don't get me started on Beaver Bother. Don't get me started on the freaking stupid that one mini game with the freaking snakes. Or no. It was what was it? Where the screen goes dark really, really quickly, and you have to shoot the golden banana before without the time going down. And if you shoot any of the Kongs, your time goes down again. And we played this on the Wii U. Okay, I was trying. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with this is I didn't know that the Wii U is fucked up royally. You want to know how? You want to know how this dinky little fucking this fucking miniature fucking thing? Okay, so Donkey Kong 64. It runs pretty somewhat okay if you don't play for 4 hours, because apparently there's a game-breaking bug on the expansion pass. So we decided to completely dodge that problem with the Wii U title, because I actually legitimately bought it when it was new. Well, here's the thing with it. The Wii U is stupid! The Wii U literally speeds up the game to impossible levels. There are many problems with the Wii U, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to be talking about this when we get to DK64. You just wait. You just wait.
I'm pretty sure we will too, buddy.
Oh, yes, you will. You are going to sit there, and you are going to watch me as I play this game on recording.
Until we win.
Yeah, at this point, it might as well be until we...
Until we win.
But here's some of the problem. Here's one of the many problems that I had with this thing. So there's this one specific game, on the cartridge that has you racing a rabbit. Okay, doesn't sound very hard on the original hardware, right? Wrong. On the Wii U version, he's sped up to impossible degrees, and he can outrun you in a millisecond. You have to exploit this weird fucking glitch to get ahead of him so that he can push you into the goal before he even has a chance to pass you. It is the stupidest thing. And one other minigame that had me wanting to eat my controller was this one where you shoot the golden banana, and if you shoot it enough times, the game is won, right? Okay, so it changes places every few seconds, and the screen goes dark. The screen goes dark. And you're supposed to shoot that without shooting any of the other Kongs. Easier said than done! At the later levels, this thing is only on screen for a fraction of a second, and your only time is to shoot before the screen even fucking blinks. It is the worst game I've ever played. It is worse than Beaver Bother. Worse!
Are you sure about that? Because
yes,
are you sure? Hold on.
Yes, I am.
Are you sure about that? Because when we first came across Beaver Bother, I'll never forget this. When we first came across Beaver Bother, I swear to God, the very sound I heard was "Welcome to bonus stage." Like
that was
you had an aneurysm that broke the fucking sound barrier. I swear to God.
I'm telling you, Beaver Bother has its problems, but try shooting a banana that's only there for a fraction of a second. Just you try. If I could, I'd drive to your house with the N64 and all. No, I mean the Wii U and all. I will drive to your house. I will place it on your TV. I will set it up. I will put on the load state, and I will hand you the controller. You try to shoot those fucking golden bananas. You will hate life. You will hate life. I have nightmares.
What, nightmares over a video game? What a shocker.
It's gonna be no. I'm gonna fall asleep tonight, and I'm gonna have Funny in the darkness. He's gonna have a pistol in his hand. He's gonna put it to my head, and he's gonna say, "Now play the game, now play the game, Como. Play the game." And then he's gonna turn on the TV, and it's that same stupid shooting game.
This is what you get for calling Banjo-Tooie the worst clothesline on 64.
Do I need to? Would you like to face Canary Mary again?
No.
Not on the Xbox. Not on the Xbox 360. I wouldn't. Not on that.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I hope that was fun for you as well. It was for me.
Oh, God.
As much as a trip down the stairs.
It took me years to get me to figure out how to get into grunty industries. Don't get me started on Canary Mary.
Oh, dear.
Oh, buddy. That's going to have to be a new episode on its own.
Oh, boy.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness.
Now,
Oh.
I think we will move on to the next. I think we'll move on to another title. I can't remember what. I can't remember what is after Donkey Kong 64. I think it's.
Ooh, pick me.
Yeah. Would you like to say it for the class?
It'll be Donkey Konga.
Oh, goody gums.
Actually, before
Now
that...
we can talk about the bongo attachment.
Yeah.
Hang on, Rick. I need to say
Actually,
something.
before we start that, we need to briefly mention the Game Boy Advance port of the Country Trilogy.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, yes.
Which,
Oh, yeah.
super quick, I'll just say right quick, I'm actually not the biggest fan of the GBA ports. Yeah, they're a great alternative, but my biggest reason, the sound editing, or the sounds that they went with, or the sound mixing they went with for the GBA ports, just doesn't have as much punch as the Super Nintendo version. And I think that kind of takes away the experience. Like, again, going back to somebody like fighting King Zing, like when you're fighting him, the Zingers and the Super Nintendo version, their buzzing sound sounded a lot more intimidating than just on the N64 version. And then when you hit them, they go. I'm sorry, you're supposed to sound like a hornet, not like a sputtering airplane.
For me, it was
Sounds like a wet
some
fart.
of the player sound effects that were going on in some of the other ones. Like when you stabbed something head first with Rambi in the SNES port, it sounded like an actual punch to the gut, man. But in the Donkey Kong port for the GBA,
Doink!
It just sounded like boink, boink, boink. It's like, what is this? The freaking what? I know it's a monkey riding a rhinoceros, but this ain't a fucking this isn't the TV show. God dang it!
Like, I'm all for Carter. Go ahead, buddy.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nah, you.
Okay, I was gonna say, to be fair, you can say the exact same thing about the sound design for all the Mario ports that are going on for the Game Boy Advance at the time as well.
But isn't it just what I needed?
But no, I'm not talking about the voice scripts. I'm talking about like the music and the sound effects. Like those are a significant downgrade compared to the Super Nintendo versions of those games. I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
Man,
I agree.
you're not wrong.
At the same time, I mean, listen, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but Mario isn't as detailed as Donkey Kong. See, when I listen to the Mario World theme, it sounds just as good on the GBA to me as the SNES. And don't sit there because it. Listen, when you listen to the tune, do you still like the tune? Yes, you do. It doesn't matter. But with the GBA ports to Donkey Kong, though, you got to remember they were going for like practically orchestrated almost with these titles. They sounded fucking bigger than life half the time. I mean, I can't remember the amount of times I fucking listened to Gangplank Galleon or Crocodile Cacophony or Primal. What was that one level? Primal Instinct, Primal Rage. I can't remember the name of the.
No, Primal Rage is a game.
Yeah, Primal Rage is a game. I want to play it again. But so many of those songs, though, I'm gonna say before 3, were trying to be something bigger than you. Like with the first Donkey Kong, it was supposed to be atmospheric as all heck. I mean, listening to the not just aquatic ambience, but stuff like the ruins. I can't remember every single level's name, but it was trying to be something intimidating. Or in the winter levels, it was supposed to be something like akin to ice. It felt like you were literally in an icicle cave. It was great, but
Yeah.
with the GBA ports, they just sounded like I don't even know what the heck was going on back then. But I can tell you this: they sound sloppy as balls.
They basically
sound
They basically tried to take the assets from Donkey Kong 64 and try to put it into the ports, and it doesn't necessarily work. Like, excuse me, I'm all for cartoony sound effects, but there is such thing as too much.
And strange enough, I mean, I'll say this: strange enough, Donkey Kong Country 3, while I prefer the SNES game for its music over this one, sounds better than the other two. That is so strange to me that a game that initially had music that wasn't developed by the guy who did the other ones, David Wise, comes out of nowhere and says, here's the new soundtrack, and it sounds good! Jungle Jitter is my favorite soundtrack in the game on that port, despite me preferring the SNES version more. How is the supposed weakest game on the franchise the one with the best music on the GBA? Like, how? How is that even possible? Thank you, David Wise.
Because the world works in mysterious ways.
It really does. But yeah, no. I guess the bottom line is, for this thing is, the GBA just did not work musically for DK. The games themselves were still good, despite the crunch, but yeah, the music was just meh. I would not want to have the GBA on at the time just to listen to that stuff. Let me tell you, I turned it down when I was playing the game. Just because I was getting annoyed with the sound effects of the
Eesh.
Oy. Anyway, I'll let somebody else talk, my bad.
It's alright. Okay, so we're almost an hour in. Goodness me. So, I was thinking maybe we can sort of, I was going to say screech it to a halt, but that would be kind of a bad thing. But yeah, now that we get to talk about Donkey Konga, wouldn't that be a funny way to end this off by talking about
Donkey Konga?
That.
Donkey Konga. But wait, what about Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, the one where Nintendo said, "What's this? All of this stuff that Rare made that everybody loves? Get it out of here. He doesn't need to ride a rhino. He can ride a ram." Because that makes a lot of sense. Donkey Kong doesn't need a story. He doesn't need a villain. Even though he gets a villain in the game. No! He can just fight other monkeys to become king of a jungle he's nowhere near. Ain't that fun? And don't you want to slap your face against a bongo while you're doing it?
Yeah, I've heard many things about your opinion on Donkey Konga specifically.
Donkey Konga, let me just say this, despite the gameplay being fun, I mean, just trying to keep off the ground while you're trying to get a combo going is great, but everything else is just, blah! It doesn't even feel like a Donkey Kong game half the time. Like,
yeah,
who built the elephant tanks? Rikaku, you need to tell me, who built the elephant tanks? I need to know.
The elephant infantry. Anyway, well now, yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about Donkey Konga. That's obviously that was part of the 6th generation, so that's like one of the games that I grew up with my group of friends. Special shout out to my dear buddy Jay Brilliant and a few others. I know it also royally pissed off a couple of the two of our friends. One specifically had a migraine when we were playing one weekend, and we kept playing that one mini game that was basically Whack-A-Mole with King K. Rool to the 5th Hungarian dance. It got to the point
Oh,
where
God.
it got to the point where he literally stormed up to the game and unplugged the machine, unplugged the bongo, and just yeeted it across the room.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but that be on a quick sentimental note. I miss Andrew. He was right quick. He was taken away from us, but we'll leave it at but I'll stop right there. But anyway, that being said, I had a little bit of fun with Donkey Konga, but the music selection was not great at all. Like,
not one bit.
Good Charlotte in the second game. What the hell was that about?
I don't know.
Why?
To the point,
Why?
if you want to play a good Donkey Konga game, play Taiko no Tatsujin. That's much better.
Or just play any other rhythm game for that matter.
That
Literally Dance Dance Revolution or anything else.
Well,
Fuck.
yeah, and the spectrum of like drumming games played Taiko no Tatsujin, or as it was called here in the U.S., Taiko Drum Master.
You know what? Maybe I will. I still haven't played that game yet.
I think the worst part about Donkey Konga for me is when they chose all these hip hop songs or just these well-known public songs. I mean, like, and part of me was just thinking, you have video game music that you have composed and own the rights to, but you're just not gonna use it.
Oh, but don't you want to listen to Kirby Right Back at Ya? Don't you want Happy Birthday with Donkey Kong?
No, mate, this is exactly like what Wii Music would do, like, some years later, except it's, I don't know why, but, oh my god, it's so frustrating.
This was the dark age for Donkey Kong fans, and I don't care what anyone says. No, I know these games for some reason have their fans, but no, you can't tell me Donkey Konga at all was worth a purchase of a GameCube back then. No, it was Melee. You get over it.
You know what was
It
one
was Super
crazy thing
Smash
about
Bros.
the third Donkey Kong Country, the third Donkey Konga?
That it never released in the U.S. and it stayed in Japan where it belonged.
Well, not only that, but that game had music from, of all things, Full Metal Alchemist.
What
Yeah.
the hell?
Donkey Kong, a game about Donkey Kong, had music from Full Metal motherfucking Alchemist.
That's like putting Mortal Kombat with the music from DK in it. What?
That sounds like a good
Yeah,
idea.
no,
though.
somebody actually did a decent mix-up of the Mortal Kombat theme with Jungle Japes.
Oh yeah!
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
know! I listened to it. I have it on my phone. That person, whoever you are, you're a godsend. Please make more. Just don't put the completionist on your title, and then we're good.
Oh, yeah. And there goes all of our
Anyway.
subscribers for addressing current problems.
Anyway, sorry, funny. We haven't been giving you enough time to talk.
Nor you,
Yeah.
Kiki, for that matter.
Yeah, both of you actually don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Funny talk first.
I'm just curious to know when we're going to talk about Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I was just about to ask that.
Oh, yes.
Actually,
Let's move on to that, shall we?
Because I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about that. I'm sure you do.
oh, you mean me with the planks of wood that have absolutely no personality? That's being ruled by fucking Mario boss number 44 with a big head and hands?
See, you do have thoughts about it.
You know,
I like to hear it.
I would actually gravitate more towards Andros with that boss. Just Tiki.
Probably, but like, but Mario had like 4 of them in Mario 64. You're like in like 3 other games. It's just like Nintendo. There are more things to life than head and hands.
Actually, I do gotta say, I forgot. There was one particular guy. I forget the guy's name. It was his decision to basically deviate from the Kremlings in both Returns and Tropical Freeze. He's responsible for Paper Mario Color Splash, and basically he said he said in an interview, and I'm probably not getting him like word for the quote. It says, when asked about if King K. Rool should come back, he's like, does he really need to come back? I figure, we feel it's in the best decision to go in a different direction without crocodiles, basically.
Ooh, Ooh, see, that's like taking Mario and then saying, Bowser doesn't need to come back. He's definitively the boss. He is the thing that you think of when you think Donkey Kong. He is that ingrained in the series. Everybody loves him. He's the reason. Freaking the fans screaming out loud for him is the reason he's in Smash at all.
Yeah.
Fucking
We don't need him.
You don't need him. You know what? I need your opinion like I need another migraine in the head.
Yeah. So I think it was more his decision, not so much like Nintendo or Miyamoto's, because Miyamoto's gone on record for especially saying that he likes Cranky Kong. So
Freaking Cranky Kong's great.
So
he's
yeah. So I think it was mostly his call, but I will say if you have to go that route without the Kremlings, first off, shame on you. You probably shouldn't be doing anything Donkey Kong related. But I will say I'm not opposed to what they ended up doing with the Snowmads and Tropical Freeze. Like, I do... Are they the Kremlins? Absolutely not. Is Lord Frederick King K. Rool? Absolutely not. But I still kind of like the Snowmads. I like Bashmaster. I like Lord Frederick. I even like the fucking owl, the whoo.
With Tropical Freeze, if we didn't get the Kremlings, the Snowmads to me are the second best. And it's not just because of the theming. I like the fact that they're supposed to be Vikings, you know? They're supposed to be nomads. They're literally some of the coolest tribes in history. You know, if you don't count most of the terrible things that they did, as like one of the most metal themes ever. I mean, these guys literally did what King K. Rool couldn't do. He literally stole his home, turned it into an icicle wasteland, and just sat there for Donkey Kong to come back. That's a great game. I actually really like Lord Frederick. I know you say he's not King K. Rool, but in a sense he kind of is. If you go back to the boss fight, you'll notice a few things that he does that King K. Rool has done over the years.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, he jumps around, he shoots you with a magic item. He's actually, and even in the background,
yeah,
when he's like away from the arena.
That's like Donkey Kong 3, yeah.
Exactly. It just, he's unhinged is the thing. I can see a personality with this guy. And even with, and I'll say this, even the little enemies, like when you get hit, you can see them like slapping you away or poking you with a fish skeleton on a spear thing. You know, they react to you touching them, is what I'm getting at. They have personalities, and those little details in the back, like in the background, like, you know how in, I don't know, Mario, everything just kind of floats. With this one, pardon me, you see like ropes holding things together. You see pulley systems lifting up and lifting down. They give a reason to why these platforms are even where they are, and it's fantastic. Tropical Freeze, to me, is honestly it deserves to be there with the original trilogy as one of the best games Donkey Kong has ever starred in. And they even brought back David Wise.
Mm-hmm.
They brought the big man himself to redo the music, for doing the music for that game, and it's some of the best bops I've ever heard. Freaking Bashmaster, Lord Frederick, heck, even the remixes to some of his older stuff, like Sticker Brush Symphony,
yeah,
is beautiful. I just wish it was in a larger stage, but just standing there and listening to it, it's some of the best stuff that's ever been on a Nintendo Wii. U console.
I'd like to add on the first Savannah stage. The music for that's really good.
Oh yeah! Oh my goodness! I could gush about those songs for days.
Yeah, and you talk about personality, and you brought up Bashmaster. I'd like to go back to him. Like the start of his boss fight, the guy's just sitting on a block of ice, just enjoying a popsicle. All of a sudden, the cogs come in, knock it out of his hands, and it gets taken away by fish. He's like, "My popsicle, you motherfuckers!"
And you know what's even funnier about that whole thing even like in the world that you find him in, you're going through everything that makes that popsicle.
Exactly.
You're going through chopping up freaking giant fruits, watching them freeze over in the juice, and being chopped into tiny little popsicles.
You're basically,
and you see them eat them.
You're basically going in and destroying his business.
It's great. It's this kind of thing that I want K. Rool to have.
Oh.
Guys, Retro Studios, please give me more of this with K. Rool.
All right, I'll just say this right quick and we can move on. This is slightly off subject. This is an idea for a Donkey Kong game I had for a while, and I was gonna mention something about it, but I figured since we're doing this based on Donkey Kong, I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. So, hear me out before you say, because I know depending on who you ask, this is gonna be not as positive. So,
okay.
You know how Nintendo did like a Warriors version game for Zelda and Fire Emblem, right?
Yeah.
Do one for Donkey Kong where it's like a 3-way battle for DK Island between the Kongs, the Kremlings, and the Snowmads.
Oh, dude, I would be down
That
for
would
that.
be awesome!
I love the Dynasty Warriors.
I would love to see,
Crap.
like, that would be perfect. I would love, if, while you're at it, like for the Kongs, you could bring back Lanky and Tiny and Chunky Kong and hell, even fucking Kitty Kong. For the Kremlings, you can bring back all the baddies from the other Donkey Kong Country games, and of course you got the Snowmads.
Heck yeah, man! I'd love to be able to play as Bashmaster. Are you kidding me?
And now I say that I shudder about the equivalent of Lu Bu, like the DK equivalent of Lu Bu.
Oh my god.
Oh, that would be terrifying, but
That'd be terrifying. Oh god.
King Zing?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
oh god, yeah.
Oh gosh. Of course, this is unfortunately where we end most of Donkey Kong's little things, unless we gonna want to get into some of the side things he's ever done, like Smash Brothers.
Well, then we
Donkey Kong 3.
You just wait. We're doing a review on DKC3, and it's gonna be an entire thing.
No, Donkey Kong 3, the arcade game.
Oh, you mean
dude.
the arcade game? Oh, the one with Stanley in it.
Yes.
I kind of miss Stanley. I'm not gonna listen. I like Stanley. He should have been the third Mario brother. just like Twitter said. Twitter said this too. They were like, that one post with the plates: Mario, Luigi, and Stanley.
Isn't Stanley like Mario's cousin or something?
I don't know. What is his story anyway? I don't remember.
Honestly, even I'm not entirely sure about that. There have been certain reports saying like he's his friend, his cousin. We don't know. It's sort of like that ambiguous ground that Waluigi lands on with Wario, I guess.
Something like that. Well, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, like I hadn't really gotten to play Donkey Kong 3 a whole lot until recently with the main machine that I have.
Right. How do you? Here's something before we end things off. How do you feel about Donkey Kong 3?
I like it fine.
You like it fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I think it's also a decent game. Is it as good as the original, or maybe even DK Jr.? No, I wouldn't say so.
I think I might like 3 just a teensy bit more than Junior.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if we're talking about DKC, it's no matter which one you like, they're all still good.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, and to be fair, Donkey Kong 3 did sort of, in some weird way, it sort of combined the platformer with the shooter at the time.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's not a bad idea. If anything, I think I praise the team for giving us something different. I mean, they could have easily just had Mario and Donkey Kong again, just that. But no, they gave us something completely different. And you know what? I'm gonna go on to say for the record, Stanley should definitely get the Pauline treatment and be brought back in something else. Like, I mean, you brought back Foreman Spike and stuff. Really obscure characters to a lot of people. for the movie. I mean, why not bring Stanley back? He could definitely, he could be like the Fix-It Felix of frickin' Mario or something. You know,
or he could be Donkey Kong's adopted son, just a man raised by apes.
Oh my god!
God.
He just becomes
no,
like
that's
Tarzan.
That's an AU egg ready to hatch into a weird and abomination baby.
Ah!
Not gonna lie, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Oh god.
Whatever the case may be, Stanley is just one of those characters that I feel has a potential to be something bigger, and I feel like they need to bring him back, even if it's like in a small way. Bring him back for just our sakes. You're bringing everybody else back. Stanley shouldn't be left in the past.
Nah,
But
I don't think so.
But that's pretty much all I have about Donkey Kong and the history behind it. We've had its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But you know what? Donkey Kong still has this pull to me that I hope one day I get to see another Donkey Kong Country game in the series. Maybe on the aforementioned second Switch, or as I'm going to call it, the Super Nintendo Switch. Who knows? But until then, you're just going to... I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm going to sit down in my nice, comfortable chair, and I'm going to keep waiting, and I'm going to just hope for bigger and better things. It's got to be something in the works. I mean, this isn't going to be another Banjo-Kazooie incident, is it? Where DK is just kind of in the background forever?
I hope not.
Please don't.
Please
I
don't.
hope not. Banjo, please get a new game, please.
Please!
Well,
Anyway, sorry, guys.
Well, as for me, just super quick, shout out to one game that I wish would have came to be, but unfortunately was a victim of the rare buyout to Microsoft, and that's Donkey Kong Racing. That game looked absolutely amazing, even if it ended up as what would eventually become Saberman Racing, or whatever that was called. Still would have been the same, but I wish it would have came out. I remember... Again, going back to the zingers, just seeing Donkey Kong and Taj the elephant from Diddy Kong Racing basically racing each other with those zingers. I kind of got a little bit of I kind of got a bit of a feel of like the speeder bikes from Indoor in Return of the Jedi. I
wouldn't be surprised if they take inspiration from that a little bit.
It looked so much fun. I wish we had gotten that and it's some alternate timeline. I'm sure we did, and it was probably just as much paraded as just as much loved as Diddy Kong Racing.
Which is the best racer on the system. Sorry, Mario Kart.
You're not wrong. Anyway, but yeah, aside of that, just some other quick shout outs. Donkey Kong Country cartoon. It was stupid, but it was fun and enjoyable. Love that they brought back some of the cast for that Return to Crocodile Isle short on YouTube.
Oh, yes!
So good.
Heck yes!
I actually watched it again this morning before we recorded. Let's see.
Still can't believe they got the original voice actor for K. Rool.
For K. Rool, for Clump. Crushers, unfortunately, his actor passed away, so they had to get somebody else. They brought Richard Yearwood back for Donkey Kong at the end of that, which is cool.
Oh my god!
I'm glad DK is getting his own little section of the Universal Studios park, even though they're reverting back to the Tikis as the enemies. But there's a rumor going around that there's some element of King K. Rool there. There was an image came up later that we don't know if it was real or fake or whatever. We'll just have to wait until it's officially confirmed. That's my rule of thumb when it comes to any sort of rumor. And then the big thing is the Donkey Kong's appearance in the Mario movie. I'm glad we got all those. Well, let me get the negative out of the way. I would not have picked Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I personally don't like his humor. I don't like his humor or anything like that. But that's just how I roll.
That's fine.
But I do. I'm glad we got Cranky Kong in there. Diddy, Dixie. We even got some of the other lesser known Kongs like Swanky and Chunky in there as well. That was kind of cool.
That to me was wicked cool.
Swanky arrived for 2 seconds, then died in a horrible car crash.
Can I just say that they should have put the first monkey that we see with the sunglasses? Couldn't that have just been funky?
Or Chunky.
Yeah.
Or Chunky. And then there's Chunky! He's
dead.
somewhere else in the movie.
Speaking of that, screw you, Nintendo and Illumination, for not crediting Grant Kirkhope for the DK rap.
Yeah, you should know better. You know
Come
where
on.
these songs have come from.
To be fair, they didn't do that with Bowser's Fury theme either. Just
I
saying.
know, which is just no. They need to credit these guys. They need to do it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong. That's okay. Even if they dropped the ball, the fans picked it up and they know where these songs came from.
And they
Yeah.
will chastise them till the day the sun explodes.
Yeah, so positively.
So,
So if there's one, oh, sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say, just to wrap up my general thoughts on Donkey Kong's, like, even if Nintendo wants nothing to do with him outside of Mario spin-offs, the Big 8 will still have a big spot in my heart. I still remember doing a really good art piece for his 40th anniversary because Nintendo didn't even bother for it. But no matter what happens, DK, Diddy, the Kremlings, all of them, they're always gonna have a special place in my heart, and that's never gonna change.
Same here, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
Como, my character that you see on the screen before you now, was literally inspired by the Big Ape, with how his personality is mixed with other elements. I mean, obviously, they're very obvious. But DK was one of the biggest inspirations for my work, and I can't thank Nintendo enough for making this character the way it is. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here talking with you guys right now, and I love the guy just as much as I love the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only other guy that got us talking together was either Godzilla or a certain invertebrate in a suit.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a half.
Next episode.
Oh, gee, what was his name?
James?
Ringworm Joseph or something?
You're like invertebrate. It's like invertebrate James or something.
No, I thought it was Tapeworm Tabitha.
No, I remember. It was the Tick.
Spoon!
Meanwhile, Funny is just frothing at the mouth.
I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to.
But you are right now.
I'm
You're
not-
talking. You're talking right now. What are you talking about?
Love you, Funny.
At least you didn't say Tapeworm Slim. Then we would have a problem.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's his name, Tapeworm Slim. There it is. Thank you.
And now I step out of the blast zone.
And no one will get the reference. Thank God. Anyway.
In any case, let's go ahead and go around the table. It's Funny. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't exactly have as close of a connection to the modern day incarnation of Donkey Kong that you guys have, but I will always remember it for being essentially what was essentially the pioneer for the platforming genre, as well as basically what got storytelling into video games in the first place. At least for the very first arcade game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say, when it comes to Donkey Kong Country games and the more modern incarnation of it, the way I see it, it's kind of like how I feel about like Legend of Zelda or Metroid or any other big Nintendo property. I respect it. It's just not for me.
I completely understand.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And for you, Darren?
I think it's the same thing with Funny in a way. I don't have as much of a big, like, following towards Donkey Kong as you guys do, but I think from what I've seen and played for myself, I like him. I like the Big Ape. He is really, really charming. His villain is absolutely badass, and I just really hope we can get some new content for the guy, because he is seriously missing out. Right up there with, like, F-Zero and Earthbound. Like, they need new stuff.
And Star Fox.
And Star Fox.
Yeah.
Especially, we seem to be hearing rumors that Star Fox might be coming back. Let's see if that's actually, that boat holds
Yeah,
water.
they said that about Grand Prix, and look what happened. Nothing.
Well,
Nothing at all.
I think that's a good note, unless Kiki wants to share her
hold on.
final thoughts.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kiki didn't talk.
Yeah,
about
go on, Kiki. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up?
My final thoughts is that it's great to listen to you guys.
No.
The reason I've been staying quiet this entire time is because my literally the only exposure I have to Donkey Kong before now was the TV show. I have never played the games. I have not even seen much in terms of merchandise of the guy. only until I've met Retro that I've just seen how much it means to him and how much it means just how, like, seeing the sort of potential that it has to be something even bigger than the guy in the red hat. What was his name again?
Martin?
His name was Giuseppe.
Yeah. Sure.
His name was Peppino.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, Peppino Spaghetti,
But in any case, sorry, bloody funny. So in any case, I have a butt ton to catch up on in terms of Donkey Kong, because, like I said, the literal thing I've ever been exposed to was the TV show, and which I enjoyed fine enough, because I enjoyed songs and silly CG things, because, yeah, I also, it was on the same block as Reboot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
If you like to talk to gorillas. Sorry.
No, we'll get copyright claimed.
Don't make me
I'm
sing
sorry.
the coconut cream pie song.
Let's see your golden banana, big boy.
Oh.
Cut that out! Cut that out! No, I'm just kidding.
Fun fact,
In any case,
super quick. Fun fact: one of the songs from Donkey Kong Country was actually covered by a actual pirate metal band called Ailstorm.
yes,
that's
I remember
awesome.
that. Yes, the Captain Scurvy's song.
Pirate Scorn is the name of the song, and the name of the
That's
album
it.
is even called Curse of the Crystal Coconut.
That's freaking cool.
Oh,
I remember seeing
fantastic.
that, and it got animated too.
Yes, it did. Same guy who did the
Oh,
Return to Crocodile Isle video.
Yes. Anyway, all right. So if that's Rick, any final thoughts for you? You and me are the last ones.
Like I said earlier, like DK's been, as far as my life in video games, has been a cornerstone. He's been up there with the likes of Earthworm Jim and Sonic the Hedgehog and just a bunch of others. I love the big guy. Nothing's gonna change about that. He's actually also my co-pilot in my car. Like I have right where my monitor is that has like my GPS and all that. There's a Donkey Kong plush just chilling right there.
Oh my god, Donkey Kong is real? I want to meet him.
Donkey Kong is real.
Yep, he's right there. You'll get a chance to meet him. But yeah, not much else I can really add on to that. It's just that no matter where the big game goes, for better or worse, I'll be there.
I hear you. And for my final thoughts, I'll just say this right now. Donkey Kong has touched us in a way that not really many other video game characters have ever done. And it's one of those things that I will always forever cherish. If it wasn't for my mother, I probably wouldn't know the Donkey Kong character the way I do now. And I will always cherish that. So if there's only a couple of things that you can take from this whole podcast, is that Donkey Kong is one of the most recognizable characters for a reason, and Mario is Mario is just a Donkey Kong OC.
Well,
Run! Jesus is on his way!
Good night, everybody.
It never ends.
Oh, bravo.
I think this is where the podcast can end. I want to thank you guys for coming out and hearing us through this long but little journey. And you guys have a good one.
Of course.
Anybody has any plugs?
The Discord, the YouTube channel. Oh wait, you're watching it on the
Yes.
YouTube channel. Never mind.
You are watching on the YouTube channel, but definitely come join us over at the RetroPlanet Discord server. We're gonna have something in the description below for that.
Absolutely.
Where we are starting to get a little more active, despite being quiet for a little while. We've been working on a lot of videos as of late. We have
Yes.
we have one, the Battletoads, Donkey Kong Country 3, a Halloween episode made by Rikaku over here for something
Indeed.
very, very special. for this
Yes.
year.
Stay tuned for that. Well,
And
this year technically.
This year, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And we also have something from Seriously Funny for a certain modern title that has touched our hearts.
Yeah, I think it's called
and
like I think
made
it's
us
called
very.
I think it's called like
I think it.
hmm.
I think it was called Taco Tower. No.
No, it was called it was Lasagna Bunker.
No.
no.
It was
Lasagna Shack.
I thought it was like Burger Fort.
no, Chili Dog Citadel.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I'll take that
mate,
and a pizza tower.
Yeah, it's Pizza Tower.
There it is.
Yes.
As well as eventually after that is done, we are also going to jump back with Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong 94.
Yes.
So
And
I just want to one more time thank you all for coming out tonight, and y'all have a good one.
yes, of course. And thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for everybody for being here to talk about our favorite big ape, aside from King Kong. But yeah. Let's sign off. So yep, we're all gonna sign off now. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. See you guys later. Bye bye.
Take care, guys.
Later, everybody.
Bye bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.